As always, quick sound check. Sweet. And we're live. So last night was a great conversation on the Black Brain Trust. You guys ever have that thing you do that you just do and it's just like your thing? And sometimes it helps you think or put you in a different place or whatever. Like I like smelling my shirts or then hiding my face in it too. I do this at work all the time. Or when I had was at like a job and in the office. I don't know. It's just like a thing I do. And then I just like I peek out from in my shirt like this. Anyways, great stream last night with the Black Brain Trust. Almost 4 hours, minutes to it. Really good conversation with Mike V, Complex Designs, Mike V, Engineering Cannabis, Paul Jones, another gentleman, I believe his name was like Professor something. He was really into security. So it was really good to like meet with people like that, like-minded people. Renaissance Man, who else? Nagone 11 came on there. Appreciate him, and like he put out like a bit of like a job posting where he was just asking for people in a sense and talking about that, and that made me think like, okay, I did a stream a while back for Obfuscate talking about interviewing, and went into that a little bit, and that was cool. So maybe we can do something like that on the Black Brain Trust eventually. So that'd be something really nice. Over here, just twisting my struggle dread. So yeah, that was a really good conversation. We talked about Internet of Things. You guys definitely need to check out the Black Brain Trust. Really good group of guys trying to push the manosphere and just the collective level of speech, talking, whatever we do in this space to another level. And that's kind of like a big thing, it's like, okay, we're here now. Where can we be next? Where do we want to go next? And, trying to direct certain men to that. And also women too, because there's people like Sexy Red, Reginald Petway, who else? Of course, Aqua Techie, Keep It Techie was there. Brother that's doing huge things in the technology space as a black man and everything like that, doing interviews and things like that. So it was really cool to be a part of like a group like that. Like it was cool. It was really cool. It was really cool. I enjoyed myself a great amount just talking about that. And then, just trying to respect the other guys too, in terms of like the things that we were talking about and going into it a little bit more, going down those rabbit holes. And then, of course, getting their information too, which is amazing in terms of the knowledge that was there on that stream. So today, what we're going to work on is UI. So I've been working a little bit on this user interface and trying to get it right with spacing, like things like this. This is all messed up. So like, for instance, how the hell at this size or at this, like you have what they call media queries. So at a certain media query, it will actually resize everything. So my max width on this is 333 pixels, but this element here down here is a max or has a width of 240 pixels. So that messes up centering. So like you got to do this stuff at like different sizes to get it quote unquote right. And then that centers everything there. But then I still have a problem with this space itself. So that might be like a calc that does everything based off of subtracting 330 pixels. So that's one thing I got to change. And one thing you do, and I've said this multiple times, I got to watch this video about DevTools. Angel Grant says Vark Tech. I don't know if that's like, that could be some Russian bot or something like that. I've gotten that before. Well, not that exactly, but I'll know when I see it a second time. But But yeah, sometimes it's just BS. So yeah, using DevTools in Chrome or even the new Chromium-based Edge browser, you can go ahead and change this. So for instance, this is line 2220. So going to Nano, and I have my CSS in another terminal window. So okay, this is my custom CSS. So let's go to the main CSS. And in Nano, you press Control Shift and then the dash, which will be underscore. And then you can put in your line number. Now with Vim or VI, it's a little bit different, and you can actually jump to a line number as well. But it's good to know those things, because then I can just go here and get the line number and then say 240. All right. Oh, and then here we go, content area. So instead of it being 330, because this is what I was talking about earlier. So this is what I was talking about earlier with the max width and it being calculated based off of 330. I can see here that I can make it 240. So that should solve that part of the problem there. And with media queries, all it does is, this is how you get responsive websites. So depending on like if I stretch or expand or contract a screen or anything like that, zoom in, zoom out, so on and so forth on content, or have that content on different devices, whether it be a high resolution screen or a mobile device resolution screen, or a different size screen where I only have so many pixels. I can do things in my CSS to account for those different screens. And that's how you get your quote unquote responsive websites. And the reason why I say responsive in quotes is because essentially what it does is it's dynamically sizing everything, you know? So I just wanted to put the emphasis on the responsive part. All right. So even this right here, max width at 330, you know, I mean, I still want it at 240. Why would I want 330? I mean, just for me personally, and that might work with the original content or the original creation of this site, like what it was, the original purpose for this template that I use. So I might go ahead and, yeah, I'll just go through this whole file and everything that has 330. Yeah, okay, that's the last occurrence. Cool, so that should fix all of that. Let's see how it looks. All right, great. So that gives me a little bit more real estate here in this section. I'm seeing where, you know, this comma is not butted up against this. And again, it does this based off of the calculation of 240. So whatever 100% is minus 240 pixels. So 100% could actually equal out to or convert to pixels. And then you can subtract the section that is not being used. So that's really nice. And it works well when I increase the font size here, or not the font size, but I increase the screen size. And then I do something like F11 to take up the entire screen. You can see everything is maintained. And then this section here actually is dynamic and then moves in and out. So that's a really nice thing there. All right, let's make that smaller there. And another thing with DevTools, which is why, excuse me, it's important to actually get used to it and get acclimated to it. I can go to a phone view and I can see how this all looks. You know, like, okay, I have all my different controls. Where do I want my controls, the order of things in a sense, to make sure that my controls show up the way I expect. You know, how these menus look here. I could see that this is a problem. You see how it butts up into the alerts and then this moves up and down. It's not that clear because the background, like, okay, maybe I do a media query maybe I do a media query that says on a smaller screen size or something like that, where I have this menu here, like looking like this slide in, slide out menu like that. Maybe I have it to where it changes the background to not have an actual opacity or anything else like that. So for instance, what section is this? So I can see here where it says my background color. What I'll probably do here let's move that here. So I have it as color secondary. Now my color secondary, and it's a variable. So what I can do is I go down here to color secondary. This is where I have my variables, or they show up in DevTools at least. And then color secondary, I can take out, and just to see how it looks, because the opacity, or having an actual opacity makes sense on something like a larger screen where you can see it. But on a phone where I might have, say, my job map, and then I click here, it makes sense to where I can, like, all the, like, the noise, not the noise, but being able to having that level of transparency of even 0.8 is going to be a problem, at that screen size. So if anything, I might say something like TSS color secondary. Ooh, I might have to, I don't know, I might have to define a whole new variable, kind of hard code that, if you will, or find some way to make some type of subtracting, something like that. I don't know if I can do that in CSS. It may not allow me to go that deep because it's not really a language that you can quote unquote program. Yogi Fish, man, appreciate you, bro. Oh man, let me make sure it was you, man. Somebody sent me a Cash App, and I definitely always want to show, listen, the love for you guys supporting me. I really do appreciate that. So I wanted to make sure. Oh, come on, where is it? Oh, here we go. Yeah, thank you for the $10 Cash App, bro. I really appreciate that. That was after the last stream last week, so I did definitely wanted to say thank you very much. And also, man, check out the stream I did with the Black Brain Trust. It was about 4 hours of just fucking tech talk. Like, it was amazing. It was amazing talking to other brothers, and it was crazy because we're on a panel with brothers that have been in high paid positions, making good money, well over 6 figures. One gentleman was in Taiwan. One gentleman is in the cannabis industry. He's a CTO. Another gentleman was a CTO, but he said he had to get off because I guess he fell asleep and his wife was outside or something like that. But yeah, man, I appreciate you showing support, man. You don't have to do that, and I appreciate that you guys do it. So I'm extremely grateful. I always tell people, like, I'm not too worried about some of the numbers that I have in terms of subscriber and viewership. It's mainly about the quality of the people that are there. And for you to show support is great. Like, I get the views and everything, but I don't really do it for the money. But it's great to see it because it helps me be more accountable. But then it's great to say, oh wow, I'm getting paid for it in a sense, right? And that's really cool. Like, that's amazing. So thank you very much for that, bro. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, it's just, these guys that we were talking to last night, man, they were just really showing up and showing out, really kind of going deep into a lot of things, which were like awesome. You'll see it on my community tab. If anything, let me try and get the link as well. But yeah, it's a great talk with the Black Brain Trust. Let me see. Yeah, it was like seconds away from being 4 hours. Like, and that was because Ulysses had to like run and TBBT. Yeah, Ulysses had to run and like, feed his kid, feed his daughter and everything. So that was really cool to be a part of that, man. Yeah, so but thank you so much for sending me the Cash App, man. I appreciate that. And even Akateki for the one before. I appreciate you guys. All right, cool. So yeah, you want to do things like this on smaller screens, because if I put the opacity back in there, 0.8, you can see how with the opacity it shows up. Okay, I'll check it later. Yeah, definitely check that thing out, man. Like, I think you'll enjoy it. And hopefully we can do another stream. I've done streams in the past talking about my interview process and going through it. So hopefully I can take that whole experience and then make it into like a nice talk on their channel as well. Because, Ulysses was like, bro, we got to get you back. So I was just like, hey, man, I haven't been on TVBT in a while. So it was great to be a part of that. But yeah, so you can see how the opacity affects how everything looks. You know, just a lot going on the screen, all for what looks. You know, it's at different levels or different devices. You want to make those small changes, right? So, for instance, if my device was even looking like this, you know, like there's problems there. I have to find a way to make sure that it doesn't go past this section. Maybe add some padding to the section so it doesn't float past that. So that would be something I want to do. In fact, let's see if I can do that now. So if I go, I can't right click on this. I gotta find it manually. Here, and then fast controls container. And then with the fast controls container, position sticky. And then if I do padding, and then I could do 5 pixels. So if I do 5 pixels, and I might have to do like, see, it's gonna make my button smaller, but it's like, is it worth it? Yeah, it's okay. It's working. It's working the way I want it to here, but now my buttons are smaller, right? So I can also do a media query like at this level, you know, or this screen size, do this. Now, I'm not too great with the CSS in terms of like being very exact or refined. Usually what I do with CSS, I get what I need done and get out. Like I don't really go too crazy with it in terms of looks and all that other stuff. But you know, that's also a part of me like not finishing a lot of projects, you know, getting to that point where I get it refined. You know, you start going so deep into CSS and all the little small things, and then you spend sometimes hours or a day or more. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay, that's a good question, and I'll get a proper answer here. But they're different. They're different in and measurements, as I understand it. So we'll look it up and get the proper definition. But off the top of my head, pixels will be like your actual standard pixels for that screen, right? So different resolutions or different screens will have different amount of pixels or level of resolution that they can have on a screen. EM is more of a different measurement. I believe it's like, is it imperial measurement or something like that? But essentially, I love doing UI. Detail is my thing. Oh man, I do the detail and I like it, and it looks fancy and stuff like that. But sometimes I get too deep into it, and then I'll forget everything else and like stop. So, but let's look that up. But EM and pixels are different. Pixels are a little bit more refined and exact. As far as I know, with EMs, I want to say it does it based off of like almost like inches or something like that. All right, cool. Let's look it up. PX. Let's see if I'm right or not. PX versus EM. I use percents too. Like percents are really good. Or VW, so view height, and that has different scopes as well. All right. The EM is a scalable unit that is used. Oh, hold on. Dude. I spent weeks on alignments and shadows. See, like that's the thing, man. You will spend that much time on something, man. Like I know, bro. That's like a lot of work. And then, you know, it depends on who you are in that process. Like, what's your role? If you are the UN front end guy, then yeah, that makes sense. But if you're the guy that's a full stack and you're doing front to back and it's your own project or whatever, or you're working on a project for business, then yeah, man, like it's a lot. Like that's a lot because I got to do front end. Intermediary. It's like that could be like communicating with the back end, right? And then back end code, right? Like so, intermediary is just like it's still front end, but it's like the front end code to communicate with your back end. Then back end code to answer those queries or push out any information, and then data storage back end. So it's like even more stuff you have to do there, you know? So, and we were talking about that last night, talking about ETL, extract, transform, and load, talking about the process you use to get data, transform that data, and normalize it, and then load that data into a database, and then all the little bits in between, you know. All right, so meet the units. One of the most confusing aspects of CSS styling is the application of font size attribute for text scaling. In CSS, you're given 4 different units by which you can measure size of text as it's displayed in your browser. And not just text, but like even different elements like spacing. I think you can use EMs for other elements, like for padding and stuff like that. Which of these 4 units is best suited for the web? It's a question that spawned a diverse variety of debate and criticism. Finding a definitive answer can be difficult, most likely because the question itself is so difficult to answer. EMs. The EM is a scalable unit that is used in web document media, and EM is equal to the current font size, for instance. What? Is equal to the current font size, for instance. So I was way off. And I've seen PT as well. Oh my God, I haven't used PT in a while. I mostly use pixels and percents. I see EMs and I only use them when it comes to like font libraries and things like that. And you'll see that in some of the things I did with some of my buttons. All right, so let's get the right definition. So I was saying it's like inches or something like that. An EM is equal to the current font size, for instance. If the font size of the document is 12 pt, 1 EM is equal to 12 pt. So it's variable. So it changes. So I can do 24 pt, and 1 EM will equal 24 pt. Crazy. All right, let's put that in there. EM versus PX. You guys can go ahead and check that out. All right, so let's go to let's finish that up. EMs are scalable in nature, so 2 EM can equal 24 pt. 0.5 EM would equal 6 pt. And when they said scalable, that would be like me saying variable. EMs are becoming increasingly popular in web documents due to scalability and their mobile device friendly nature. Ooh, okay. And that makes sense. Like when you're going to mobile devices and stuff like that, sizing really matters. And then, of course, building responsive websites, sizing really does matter in terms of how that sizing scales, changes, and does whatever you need it to on these different devices and sizes or different size screens, I should say. Pixels. Pixels are fixed size units that are used in screen media, i.e. to be read on a computer screen. 1 pixel is equal to 1 dot on the computer screen, the smallest division of your screen's resolution. All right, so that's your 1080p or your 1920. No, I think it's like 1920 by 1080. I think is 1080p, and then there's 720 by. I know there's like a 1240 in there or something like that. I forget that now. I forget that. I use EM because of the precision of spacing. Really? Okay, but okay, you say the precision of spacing, but then like we just find out that it's variable. Wouldn't it be more precise to use pixels? What are your thoughts on that? Because you're the meticulous design guy, so you know. 1 pixel is equal to 1 dot on screen. Many web designers use pixel units in web documents in order to produce a pixel perfect representation of their site as it is rendered in the browser. One problem with the pixel unit is that it does not scale upward for visibility impaired readers or downward to fit mobile devices. Oh man, okay. Pixels ain't it. I like percentages personally, but pixels ain't it. So points, PT. Points are traditionally used to used in print media, anything that is to be printed on paper, etc. 1 point is equal to 1/72 of an inch. Points are much like pixels in that they are fixed size units and cannot scale in size. Okay, so that's good for print media, and it maintains that as well. So that's good for like, if you're transferring it and you want that quote unquote aspect ratio to stay the same no matter where you're going. All right, so before Yogi Swish says, I use EM because of the precision of spacing, and his answer is, meaning for design, everything isn't on a pixel, so it keeps the design fluid. Exactly. Okay, Oh, sorry, that's exactly what's read here. That's exactly what I read here for EMs. So EMs are better for responsive web design. Okay. I gotta I'm saying this because I gotta keep a mental note of it so I understand it better too moving forward. But that's a good question, man. Appreciate you like challenging me on that one and making me think a little bit more and find out some more stuff. All right, so the percent unit is much like EM unit, save for a few fundamental differences. First and foremost, the current font size is equal to 100%, i.e. 12 point, which is at 100%. While using the percent unit, your text remains fully scalable for mobile devices and for accessibility. Okay. We'll read this and then I'll get back to it. It's easy to understand the difference between font size units when you see them in action. Generally, EM equals 12 point equals 16 pixels equals 100%. Okay, that's a good conversion right there. When using these font sizes, let's see what happens when you increase the base font size using CSS selector from 100% to 120. So, okay. So here, which is really good, is pointing out that this is how one EM looks, and it's how it looks in terms of increasing your font size. And then font size 12 point always looks the same. 16 pixels always looks the same, and percentages will be variable in size. So you can see how EM and percents are good for when you're dealing with not mobile data, but like mobile screens and larger screens and things like that. And that's really good when you're scaling that up to larger screens as well, like billboards. I still use pixels as well. Yeah, and it's kind of like old dogs, one thing, old dogs, no new tricks and stuff like that. One thing I just did a moment ago is saying everything, putting everything at 240 pixels for my sidebar on larger screens. And I want it to always stay that size. I don't need it to be any bigger at this moment. But how does that work with scaling and everything like that? Well, I don't have to worry about it too much because that sidebar at a certain point goes to be it turns into a slider or a side menu here where I can slide that in and out, so it's not a big deal. And I do like this too, the fact that this is just how it's going to look on a mobile view, and then I can switch to different things here. Oh, I gotta put in one. Damn, yeah, this page. It's I gotta put in this one element or this one page. All right, cool. Let's get out of this. Yeah, that was a good rabbit hole. I don't have anything for my alerts page yet. I'm still doing the overall design of this thing. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to add is padding. So for my container, that's what we were working on. Fast controls and padding. It's not too bad. Kind of makes those buttons I do like it having a little bit more spacing there. So I'll probably leave it at 15 pixels padding. Then that should solve my issue. That looks good, larger screens. And then on a smaller screen, if I have my menu here, it doesn't go into alerts immediately. It doesn't just crash into that. So that's nice. It does go down there though. So what I might have to do is put padding at the bottom as well. All right, so let's go here. Padding. All right. So I do have padding all around the container itself. Yogi Fish, pixels I use to build the frame, EM for painting. Okay. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it too, in terms of when to use things. Having those quick and easy rules or rule of thumbs when you're actually designing makes it a lot easier for you to one, have a standard. And then when I do JavaScript programming, my standard is I have a standard function or something like that. Sorry. I have a standard function that I use in terms of okay, all my functions that, most of my functions are all asynchronous functions. So I can use async await syntax. Also, I'll have a standard return object. Also, I'll have a try, catch, and finally block in them. So having those standards or rule of thumbs make programming easier, so you can expect, you know what to expect, and also how to have any test conditions depending on failure. And also, it makes it a little bit cleaner and more predictable in terms of your code and what you write. So somebody starts reading your code, after a while, they start to see like, oh, okay, this person always has this. This is how I can actually do testing on any issue that that I'm having, unit tests, so on and so forth. Okay, all right. So we're gonna add to the top of this, because in our fast controls container, yeah, so this doesn't have anything, much of anything. And in terms of our padding, we're gonna do be more specific and and do a padding top. So padding dash top, and we are going to do. Should we do EMs? No. Yeah, I guess we'll do. I have to try that with JavaScript. Yeah, actually, I have a blog article about it in terms of how I do my TSS blogs here. Sound like my own little personal blog. I need to post it in the. So this is my standard standardizing function. That's kind of like my function template, and I also have my catch, my standard catch error handler, and then common client side helper functions. Yeah, so these are functions that I'll do for, like, you know, the weekday, the month, and you can address those accordingly. So yeah, those are nice things to have. And, like, you know, once you start doing that and you start really getting into it, then you start to see where it's a lot easier to write code and put stuff together. And then, you know, it's a living standard, right? So it changes as you need it to. Should have put that in the chat, I think. Yeah, did I put that in the chat? Yeah, I did. Okay, EM versus PX, I did. All right, well, we learned something new, so let's start using it. Padding top, and we're gonna do 2 EM. So I think this will work. The reason I say I think this will, okay, yeah, there we go. So 2 EM, right? And then if I go here and then bring my menu out, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so that doesn't do anything. It's there though. The only thing I can think of is my position. I mean, there's things like Z index you can do, but that's not the problem here. See how that's going down there. The function of this, and it could be, oh, I see things. Yeah, the function of this could be, or the issue with this could be the fact that our position is sticky. So if our position is fixed, inherit, initial, I don't know the difference between revert. Static would be kind of nice. So static is nice in this case. Let's see how static works. See, a static does not work there. And we can do, again, a media query on this, right? Like media query, fast controls, and then it'd be static otherwise, and then actually change these different things. So different depending on the size of Man of Tomorrow. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I hope everything's going well with you, brother. I appreciate you sharing. Really do. Yeah, brother MLT, man. Thank you so much, man. I hope you were in on that last night. I think you were. I think you did show up. I think I saw you in the chat and everything like that. I hope everything's going well with you, man. Excuse me. So, all right. So let's figure out how we can do this, right? If it's static, I mean, if I do, I think it was sticky. So if I do sticky, it'll stay in place. Yeah, absolute's not going to work. Sticky makes sense there. That works. And then I could probably do a media query. So for instance, let's see what media query gets. Oh, this is something I discovered last night, which is really cool. So if you're doing dev tools and you want to go, of course, to toggle device toolbar and stuff like that, this right here is how you view different devices, right? So I can do a Galaxy S5, Moto G4, and a Surface Pro. If you wanted to do it on a really big screen or 4K or anything else like that, you can actually put in a custom size so you can actually edit it. And when you edit your actual devices, you can add a custom device and then add your own custom resolution, right? Resolution, aspect ratio, if it's going to be, not aspect ratio, but orientation. That's it. So your own orientation, whether it's vertical or whether it's horizontal or anything like that. What is my special taboo smash? What is your specialization as a programmer? I'm a full stack developer, so I don't have so much of a specialization. I do like backend code, and I use Node.js. I am a JavaScript programmer, front end to back end, all the way down to my database using NoSQL. But yeah, that is definitely that's pretty much what I do, and my affinity, my preference is doing API design. So like actually making APIs to consume and to what is it called? Not to consume and digest, but to serve data and then ingest and digest. Anyways, yeah. So sending and communicating with APIs, sending, retrieve, and stuff like that. I have proper terms for it, but I always forget these things. Anyways, let's go back to this. I'll probably come up with it later in the right words. So here you can actually add your own custom device. Another thing is, instead of doing all of that, you can just go ahead and, for instance, there's this bar at the top here, and you can do mobile S and all the different sizes. I want to start front-end developer. Are you doing mentorship? No, I am not doing mentorship, but if you do have any, I'm not doing hey, listen, you can call me and then do this. But if you have any questions, man, drop it in the chat. Send me an email. Email is AOE, the number 4, EVA@gmail. Actually, I'll just put that in the chat. It'll be easier. AOE 4 EVA. And then Gmail. All right, so you can always reach me out. You can reach me there if you ever need to. I know Moody Bears reached out to me a while back, and I guess she's doing a project, and I just asked some questions about that and stuff. So if you guys, and then, show you any pointers or anything like that, and then also any courses, that I take that you should probably take or that I recommend. If you're a JavaScript developer, there's one course that, let me see here. I use udemy.com for my personal learning. My job actually has LinkedIn Learning, which is really good platform. My learning, JavaScript, the Advanced Concepts 2022 update. So let me try and share this here. Let me get the link for it.
What does it?
Okay. Yeah, I think this guy just.
Advanced JavaScript mean?
All right, about this course, share this course. Copy. Let me just get to the stream here, guys, and I'm gonna put the link to this course. Let me just get to, all right, here we go. Sorry for the reverb, if any. But yeah, this course is really good. And I'm probably like a quarter of the way through it. Really good course though. And it'll teach you about like, all the pieces of JavaScript building up and getting into things like this keyword, dot apply, dot call, dot bind, and then also lexical scopes, which is very important in terms of lexical environment chaining and how variables and functions are handled and treated in JavaScript. So once you better understand how the actual compiler works or the JavaScript engine works, which is mainly, the V8 engine, which is made, I believe, by Google. The original JavaScript engine was SpiderMonkey, which is what's still being used for Firefox. So, learning all those different things. All right, cool. So I know that is a BS comment. Block user. I get like these, like, they'll just send like BS in the, and it's not even like, trolling or anything. It's just, I don't know what they're doing. So sorry about that. I don't get that many. So that's another reason why it's like, it's good to not have controversial Black Manosphere talking and stuff like that in these, in some of my streams, so people don't get triggered. It's kind of crazy. They always say like, if you want to hide something from a Black man, put it in a book, and it's crazy. If you want to hide, like, it's kind of crazy, in terms of like, we were talking about this on the Black Brain Trust, what gets the most views in our space, the Black Manosphere, which is I'm a part of, what gets the most views, like even with MGTOW content, what gets the most views? Because I'm a MGTOW, and it's just like, you see where a lot of these people just don't they don't look at this type of content. They just don't. And the crazy thing is, last night on that stream, I think damn near everybody on that stream, 6 figures or better, if not currently doing it, or if not were doing it, currently doing it, and they'll probably will be doing it. Like it's just like you hear it, you see it. It's like, these are guys that are making like, 75 grand or more, up to 6 figures, and then it's 22 watching. They get quite a few likes though, so people in and out. But it's a good stream altogether. But this is what I'm trying to bring to my brothers in the space, is coding and talking about it, and also trying to help people. Taboo Smash. If you need help, let me know, man. I'm really about that. In fact, Richard Dixon, I remember a couple times I've helped him live on the stream with some of his coding projects. So if you guys have questions like that, let me know. Like, we will get a JSFiddle, JSFiddle.net going. I think it's .net. JSFiddle going, and then we can both like collaborate on JSFiddle in real time, which is really nice. And then put that on the stream, so I can see what your problems are, or you can share your screen, and then I can see what your problems are and try and help you out and go through it. And that was one thing, like, we had a really big problem with MongoDB in last time Richard Dixon was on here. And with MongoDB, I just knew a little bit I knew enough about MongoDB because I've been using it for a while. And you could programmatically, like, for instance, MongoDB is a NoSQL document-based or a NoSQL document-based data store or database, if you will, or non-relational database. So everything is stored or documents are mainly stored in JSON objects or BSON, right? And then with BSON, it's pretty much a JSON object, but you can do things to actually transform that JSON object before it even gets to, your consumption point, or your point of consumption, or your point of assignment to a variable or something like that, or an object. So, and I'll read that in a second, Taboo. And what the problem he was having is, okay, I can do an if statement, or I can do a delete statement to remove an item out of the resulting object. But I can do an if statement or a delete statement for a JSON object to remove something, because he had an underscore ID field and he wanted to remove that. But in knowing a little bit more about the database engine that he was using, MongoDB, I know there's what they call projections, and then you could do things like projection, meaning like you can filter certain things out. So you could say, hey, listen, ID underscore ID colon, and you put it in the form of a JSON object, colon 0, meaning that it will not show that. Or 1 if you do want it to show, if you only want it to show, and stuff like that. So we solve problems like that when people do come up. You know, if Richard is the only one that's done it, and I appreciate him even for, you know, coming to the channel, but then also, like, you know, he gave me some money for it, man. That's appreciated, man. Like, it helped him, and it's helping him make more money too. So it's a value to him, which is great. And I want to put that, I want to give you guys that value. All right, cool. So Taboo Smith, I already see it, man. Taboo, listen, bro. Listen. I'm not that guy, bro. I'm not an IDE guy. That's not me. This is my IDE, a terminal. This is how I roll. You could take that stuff over to Daniel Tucker, Dan Tuku, who was on the stream a week or two back, talking about the 12-factor app, and we went through that, and that was a really good talk. But Dan Tuku is a Visual Studio Code IDE guy. I am not. I use a Linux terminal. This program I use for my shell terminals and, you know, organizing them and everything like that is called Termius, and it's just like Putty. I can do this in Putty if I wanted to. So Putty or Termius, I log into whatever server that I'm logging into, and then I use on that server. I usually install the not the coding module, but the binary called screen. And that allows me to do things like have virtual terminals. So if I do Control A, Shift S, I can split the screen. If I do Control A, pipe symbol, I can split it vertically as opposed to horizontally. Then if I wanted to, I could split within a split. So I can do Control A, S, and then I can split within a split. So now I have 4 terminals that I have, right? And then I can do Control A to go Control A, then Tab to go from terminal to terminal. And then I can do Control A and then Tab, what's it called? Pipe symbol. I'm getting confused here. And then now I have like 6 or 5 terminals. 2, 4, 5. Right. So I have 5 terminals if I wanted to, right? And then if I wanted to, and it's like, all right, cool. I don't want all these terminals. I can do Control A, Shift Q, and then get out of it. Right. So that's what I personally use. This is my IDE. I use screen, so I can have virtual terminals or multiple terminals working in 2 to 3, 4 files at a time, or maybe even, you know, for instance, a lot of times with my apps, anytime they're running, I will, the name is Termius for Linux. Yeah, Termius, oh, Terminus. Is it Terminus or Termius? Oh my God. Hold on. Oh, no, it's Termius. Termius is what I use. It is Termius. It's in the Windows App Store, and you can actually, it's in the Ubuntu App Store as well. But Termius is just so I can actually log in. It's like Putty. But, you know, Putty back in the day, they had it to where you can have multiple, like you can save everything. Termius is nice because I can have it on my mobile device. I can have it on my iPad. I can have it on any other device. I paid, I think, $10 a year. And it syncs between all my different devices anytime I have a new device. So if I need to, you know, I'm controlling something, I can do that. And the nice thing about using screen is I can log out of a screen or detach from it, and then I can reattach to it from another computer. Me personally, I have 3 computers in the house that I use on a regular basis. This is the one in my sunroom. Then I have my main desktop where I have like the 4 screens, curved monitors, vertical monitors, and all this other stuff. And then I have my work laptop for my day job. So having Termius really helps with that, and as well as screen as well. So Termius, I think, is free to a certain extent, but not really. There's some other stuff. And then there's and then in terms of my text editor, I use Nano. So all that to say, I use Termius, screen on the actual system, the server usually, and then I use Nano. For my text editor, and that's for like when I'm doing all my coding. Now, if I'm on Windows systems or something like that, I use whatever I got to do. Sometimes I do use Visual Studio Code for some stuff if I need to, especially if the instructions say to use it, and sometimes it makes it easier. And Notepad++ is my text editor of choice for like Windows systems. All right, cool. That was like really long there. All right, cool. So, okay, that's great info about JSON and MongoDB. I'm getting into geodata analysis and visualization. Yeah, man, geodata, like geospatial data, it does actually store geospatial data. And I need to get into that as well for this project because I'm actually going to be working on, maps and stuff like that. So storing latitude and longitude, which is 2D stuff. But actually, is it 2D or still 1D? I think it's still 1D because even if it's like, yeah, that's still one-dimensional data if you think about it, because it's just coordinates on a flat piece of paper or a flat plane. Even though it's the Earth, it's still 1D. I'm nitpicking there. Yogi Fish, tell me if I'm right on that. Like if you're just putting a marker on Google Maps, that should still be 1D. Because even so, it's just still coordinates on a plane. Oh, they have 3D data. Yeah, they do have 3D data as well. Where you can actually do your latitude, longitude, and then also your distance from the ground as well. So yeah, and that's important, especially when you're dealing with having those exact points for drones and stuff like that as well. That's definitely true because you want to make sure that drone flies over a certain tree line and stuff like that. So hills, valleys, and stuff like that, peaks. Yeah. So Taboo, Terminus, I love it. I love Terminus. But this is what I use, and this is also portable too. And I can go to like just about any system and do all this stuff. Well, it can break down population and level of environments. Okay, so when you say it can break down, you're talking about MongoDB in particular. What program are you using or database are you using for all of that? Because you're talking about even demography, so demographic data, data, demographic based data and stuff like that. So, yeah. All right, cool. So I can do media queries on this. Ooh, let's see here. Oh, on a map of geodata. Okay, so I got a video for you. Man. I love this video. I've watched it maybe twice, and I still want to do do this. There's a website, not a website, but there is a channel called Fireship.io, and I love this guy's channel. Always, he has this 100, this technology in 100 seconds. He even had this this language called brainfuck in 100 seconds. So he actually went over a whole language in 100 seconds, and this language is insane. It's totally a brain fuck on how to actually do it. You have to be mindful of so many things when dealing with it. And then map. Here we go. Deck. So he used DeckGL, and I think you'll love this, man. Oh man, yeah. I don't have. This is not my YouTube Red account. All right, cool. So. So watch this video. It's definitely amazing. But visualize 140,000 gun violence incidents with DeckGL and Google Maps. So what's cool about this and what this guy did, or what this guy did for this example, Fireship.io, subscribe to this channel. Traversy Media, subscribe to that channel. Free Code Chem, subscribe to that channel. Coder for front-end coding, subscribe to her channel as well. Like, these are really good places to go. Taboo Smash, I think you'll like those places. But with DeckGL, here we go. All right, so we'll go through it, no sound, but you can do all the the geometric shapes or the hexagons and stuff like that, and then also you can actually visualize it in terms of like almost like a column or bar graph rising up from it. So let's go back a little bit so you guys can get at least this intro, and then watch the video again. So you can see he's zooming into a certain area, and he's seeing where all this gun violence incidents are happening. And then he's using Google Maps Street View. So he's taking all this gun violence incidents that he gets from another API or another source. He maps that and puts that on Google, on top of Google Maps, and then visualize it using DeckGL, which is something that is that was produced by Uber. So they can visualize all the rides and stuff like that for their ride sharing app. So they have like a whole knock that visualizes all the data. So if you look for deck.gl, it's really cool in terms of their website and what they have. And it actually shows you like live data of like things moving and time lapses and stuff. So this is how they actually visualize things like rush hour traffic and such. It's really cool. That's some deep and sad. That's deep and sad to see it visualized at the same time. Yeah. And especially like you see it in like the Detroit area, and I think even Chicago and stuff like that. Like imagine using this. Like imagine if and this wouldn't be the greatest, but imagine if they put this on like a Zillow, you know, like when you're house shopping, so you can see the crime rates in the area and stuff like that you're about to live in. Fucking crazy. And we were talking about data visualization yesterday in the stream, and I went to the website informationisbeautiful.com, and it talked about the coronavirus information and how to visualize that, and we'll go into that in a second. But you'll see that Google Street View, you can see like getting into the Kansas City area, you know, how that looks, you know, how like it's more, you see more on the East Coast and stuff like that. So like how many dead, ID for whatever, how many dead, injured, went down on 11/27/15, police fatally shot. So it gives you all that information. Perpetrator while responding to domestic violence call. It's crazy how you see this. And then, of course, it rising. And then depending on where you're zoomed in or how far you're zoomed in, excuse me, the visualization changes to where it becomes broader to more exact or refined. So you can see the actual hot spots of where stuff happened, you know? And then he goes into it. But he actually programs that and shows you. And if you go to like Traversy Media, he has something where he does that too. Traversy Media. This is how much I watch. I watch so much of this stuff, man. And like this gets fed to me all the time. It's freaking amazing. And I want to do this for my last job to like give people leads. Oh, here we go. GeoJSON data, a store locator. So I believe, is this the first video? This is right up your alley, bro. Yogi. Hour-long video. GeoJSON. And it uses MongoDB to store that data. What's cool about this one, he actually goes through a full app, and this is an ad. I'm so not used to ads because I pay the YouTube Red. But this is another browser. So he shows you the project, and he's building all this from scratch. And usually he has GitHub repos so you can play around with this stuff. And he has it to where, you know, you can add a store, and then you can put in the different store IDs and then where it actually is on the map. So I will be using some stuff like this and revisiting this video. So this is a good refresher for me as well. I guess we're off at the live programming part of this and we're just getting into it here. But he actually goes through the code and everything else like that, and then shows you the finished product. And I can't really zoom in too much on this, but definitely go and watch the video. Brad Traversy Media, definitely watch pretty much all his content. It's amazing. And other people that are on there. He has a whole bunch of different crash courses. If you ever want to learn code before you get into boot camps and stuff like that, learn from these guys that are giving it up for free. Freecodecamp.com. They have a website, and then Freecodecamp, the YouTube channel. Traversy Media. So that's that I just linked that here a moment ago. And Fireship.io. And a lot of these also have. No, I don't think he's using Atom. No, is he using Atom? I think he's using Visual Studio Code. Yeah, he's using VS Code. Traversy usually use Visual Studio Code as far as I know. And I do like the Atom team and what they built, which was the Electron app. Electron is a way of you building like, what's it called? Platform, like you building apps for different platforms. So Atom started out as a text editor, and then actually Atom started out as a text editor, I believe, for GitHub or something like that. And what they were using, then that spawned the Electron app, and Electron allows you to actually put applications on different architectures or different operating systems, such as Linux, Windows, and then even applications on mobile devices. It'll take your code and build it for you. And then you have an Electron-based app known as Visual Studio Code. So that's how Visual Studio Code, you can actually push out changes and stuff, and you can get newer versions or versions at the same time that you got your own, that you have it on Windows and Linux. And what's great is you can actually go to there's like Electron boilerplate app. So you can build an actual desktop application, which I started with my last company to make a downloader. You can build a desktop application, and and it's pure JavaScript, which is really nice. So it's just pure JavaScript in terms of the app itself. And then also it's like really at that point when you're doing an Electron app, it's like making a web page. So speaking of Electron apps, Termius is an Electron app. So pretty much this is running Google V8 engine in the background. It's all bundled together. And this is pretty much like a fancy website. Really, that's all it is. And the difference with the Electron app versus JavaScript in the browser is your middleman, and you have to go through your browser to talk to the file system. With an Electron app, you can talk directly from that app to the file system, and it has all the things in place so that you can do that. Actually, let's find that talk. Guys, watch these videos. They're just insightful. Electron app. Origin. The woman that did this talk, which is cool. Oh, RIP Electron.js is obsolete. Oh, I gotta watch this one. Oh, copy link address. Might be a good video. Oh, there's a woman that was doing the talk, man. Maybe I already passed it. Okay. All right, I probably already passed it. Desktop apps. We'll do Electron.js in 100 seconds. Again, Fireship.io, really good for short videos. And he talks really fast in those, or at least probably speeds up his voice or something like that. Let's actually look at this one here. Yeah, let's look at that. So this is a person starting up their Electron app, goes through the build process. But as you can see, like literally that's a website. The only thing is what's really nice about it is it's borderless. So it's frameless. So you don't have a file menu or anything else like that. It's really like making an actual website. And that right there is all JavaScript in terms of how it runs and then the code that you run with it. And you can do cool things, right? Once it's JavaScript and it's, you can start using Axios libraries and then interacting with web APIs and stuff like that. So one thing I did to make an evergreen application is I coupled my Electron app using Axios, and then I put in an array of endpoints to get this JavaScript file. And that JavaScript file is saved on Azure Blob Storage. With Azure Blob Storage, they will give you a primary and secondary endpoint that you can reach your files at. And you could do this with AWS S3 if you wanted to, right? So you can have this in an S3 bucket or any other place, right? So that's really nice. So I can have it, I can be vendor agnostic, I think it is. So I can actually have 2 different vendors if I need to for redundancy. And then even with those vendors, I can have even more redundancy because I might have 2 or 3 endpoints and geo replication in terms of like the data's in different data centers and stuff like that, right? So Azure Blob Storage gives you a secondary and primary or primary and secondary endpoint. And then with that, I put that in an array. I do a for loop through that array, and then I do a for loop and not a for each because a for each does not allow me to break out of it. And you'll see why. It will use Axios to see if that file exists. I would write code. And if it came with an error other than status, an HTTP status of OK or 200 status code, then I would say, it's like, say if it's like 404 not found or 500 server error or something like that, then I would say, okay, go to the next item in the array. And then if it reaches to the end of the array, then put something, say, hey, listen, this file cannot be found, servers are down, notify IT, right? But if it does find it, it finds off of the first one, it breaks the loop. So I don't need to go to the second one. I don't need to actually look at it and say, oh, okay, you know, is the second one up? I don't care. The primary one is up. On that primary, once I get to that Azure Blob Storage endpoint, I have my JavaScript file that gets downloaded via Axios, and then it runs it. And once it runs it, now that means no matter what, if I said, hey, listen, I need you to update your code, they close the Electron app, then open it back up, and it loads the newest file because it's on Azure Blob Storage, and it always fetches through Azure Blob Storage. And I can do password authentication and all types of other stuff as well, which is really nice. There's more stuff you can do to refine that, to possibly kick people out of the app if need be. Maybe every time they go to a different window, it always checks their authentication. Start doing cookie, poison a cookie or something like that, or revoke a cookie or something like that, or revoke a session. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with that, a lot of stuff. But yeah, so Electron app is, I mean, you see this is a login page. That would be like your login page that, what's it called, that you see on a regular basis on, how did we get here? Jesus. I think I was programming something that one. I think at one point I was actually writing code. Hopefully I can find that, that Electron. It was a talk. So it's a woman doing it, or is it this one? Oh, it's the last one. Then I'll just like get off of this, and I'll probably put it in the comment section later if I can find it. No. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Latest and greatest. Is it this? I think it was this one. I think she was wearing a different shirt. I have like a pretty decent memory of this type of stuff. Taboo Smash. This is what happens when you ask me questions. I will answer them. Okay. So anytime you guys have questions, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll go over them. I will, unless I'm like really coding something that I really want to get into, I might start doing streams where I just don't even like look at the chat or anything. I might have a banner that says, hey, I'm not looking at the chat, and I just, head down focus. But usually I'm always interacting and talking because I have no friends. Okay. I'm looking over there because that's where like I can see myself. But yeah, but really good video. All right, let's get back to it. So we were working on these controls and everything being sticky here. So this is sticky, and it stays within that. I mean, I could do something where it takes the actual height of the div and cut it down, or cuts it down. That could be one thing. So for instance, if I inspect And this is, part of the title, use your imagination. Like, this is what you got to do. Like, I can see here my container through, highlighting using dev tools. Do you know Coding Phase? Yeah, I've seen Coding Phase. I don't watch a lot of his videos. I think that's a Hispanic gentleman, right? I don't really watch much of his videos, but like, he's a big dog in the space, man. Like, he's been doing this stuff for years. I don't really watch a lot of Coding Phase, but I always like what he does in terms of like, he has a real hustle mentality when it comes to this stuff. And he's always doing live stream. He's always putting out content. He's always answering people, which is, I mean, it's a blessing, and that's just the beauty of this space and open source community and coding community in general, is that there's a lot more people that want to help. They're not grumpy old coders in a dark room. They're sharing more, and that's more your millennials and old, younger Gen Xers and stuff like that are doing that, because Coding Phase is a little bit up there in age. And I can only say that about the grayness in his beard. So we might be like really close to the same age. But yeah, that guy, he goes in. Like, you could tell, like, yo, listen, he's hungry. Traversing Media is kind of the same way in terms of produced content. Traversing Media will do a lot of produced content and projects, while Coding Phase, I see him a lot more in terms of streams. But I don't know with Brad Traversy, he's actually building more of a network now too. And I haven't looked at Coding Phase to say if he's doing that or not. All right. We could do a height, right? So if I do height, let's do, so fill available. That's interesting. So nothing there. So I have to have actual values. So I could probably do like 50%. Oh, that. Okay, so that's not gonna work. 80%. Yeah, but you see how it only takes up 80% of that and moves itself out of there. I wonder how, like, I can. So height's not gonna do it. Ooh. So you see how I have this top 50%? Oh, okay. So that top at 50%, I guess it always keeps a top there. So let's see how it looks. We see how that does that. One thing I do want to do is move this up a little bit. I think 45% is nice. Let me make that change. I think there's another change I just didn't make. Yeah, so in terms of, like, using your imagination, you have to look at this and then also think ahead and think about, like, okay, where do I want to put all this information and everything else like that. Oh, also, by the way, this template was a part of the resume video where you can make your own resume page. So, for instance, treestarsystems. So here, we did this on a live, 1 or 2 live streams where we actually made resume pages. This stuff is nice, not totally useful, also not useless, but it's a nice virtual video. What's it called? Virtual business card, if you will. So you can see all my information there, and, work history, GitHub pages where this actually does an Axios call and goes out to GitHub and gets the latest repositories that are public and puts them in alphabetical order. So it does all that. And then contact information and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, this is, I really like this. This is like a really cool thing. I forgot what JavaScript this was. Also, there's particles, JS, so you can get all this background stuff. And the biggest thing I did with this is I expanded it so I can get more on the map, and then it shows you more here. So yeah, and you can kind of see like resume fast controls. I'm still doing, like, I still have to make changes to this, and I'm just laying the groundwork. And then after this, I have to chop it up, put in handlebars, which is what I use for my templating engine for most of my projects. I use handlebars JS or handlebars, and then with handlebars, with that, I chop everything up, do partials, layouts, and all types of other stuff. So I'm literally just designing this, putting it together, and saying, okay, now, actually, let's see here. Putting this all together, and wait, where is it? Where is it? So the resume site. This was the first in that. First in that. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So yeah, you guys can go ahead and check that out. All right. Looks good there. If I do my inspect and make things smaller, Deborah Boyd. So how do I make this fit and then not work sticky? We're talking about media queries. So on fast controls container, position, I want we'll do position initial. And then we'll also do we'll increase the padding. No, increase the padding. I think, is it margin? Maybe it's margin. No, it's not going to do what I want it to. I want to move it down, but I think I have to do padding. Don't want to do padding top. I might have to do padding top. Great. The way padding works, you can do 2 at a time. You can do 1, and that does it for all padding when you just do padding. And then you can do 2 at a time, and that'll do your left and right, and then top and bottom. And then you can do all 4. Or you can even do 3, I think. So in this case, I will do 0 px for top, 15, and then repeat 15. And that should give me that padding there. And then now I can control the padding at the top separately. All right. And then when I have the padding at the top separately, hey, moms, can you close my door, please? Thank you. So then when you do the padding at the top like that, I can control just that padding if I wanted to and be a little bit more meticulous, a little bit more yogi fish with it. All right. So now that I have that, I don't have. Oh, I need to know what media query or what level this is at right now. Ooh. How would I find that? All right, so this is at CSS 2312. Main CSS. Oh, actually, max width 100. So I would copy this here. Actually, just copy that rule. And I'm going to do some of my custom CSS. I like to do all my custom stuff in my custom CSS. I think that's a little bit cleaner. So I'll have the main CSS, whether you're using Bootstrap CSS or any other type of like CSS library to do most of your scaffolding or your templating for whatever your template is using. Sorry, I got to use a back scratcher. I use Bootstrap, or I use whatever the template actually has, and then I make my own custom CSS based on the project. And then I'll just name the CSS, you know, in this case, it's TSS cuts .css. And the TSS stands for treestarsystems, and then cuts. Trying to build it. This is for the autonomous lawnmower project that I've been working on. All right, so media only screen, max width, and we're gonna go back to fast controls, and we're gonna change fast controls. So within this media only screen, within this media, what they call a media query, you can do like, okay, up to this max width, this is where this rule applies. Past this max width, this is where this rule applies. Now, if you're doing, that's just kind of how you do conditionals in CSS. But when you're doing this, right, like for instance, I'm going to do a couple different rules and make changes to a couple different classes in this. So I'll list all my classes within that. And that's kind of how you do your conditionals in CSS. So in this case, I'll do fast controls container because that's what I want to change. And being lazy here. And it'll just be the element that I need to change. I think I got this right. Let's see. Yeah, I think I got this right. It's showing up as white, so I'm not sure if I think I got the syntax right. Actually, let's hold on. Let's see. UL, yeah, I got that right. Okay, cool. Curly braces. That's control container. All right, cool. So in this case, at this stage, I'll do my top will be 45%, and then I'll make changes to my padding. We'll just copy and paste this since we already got it, and then that. And I don't think there's anything else I need. And then also what we'll do is, since we have variables, we're going to do our TSS secondary color. Fast controls, TSS secondary color. And one thing when you're going through dev tools, you'll see a lot of things grayed out. That usually means that it's not being used. Or if it's crossed out, that means something has overridden it. And sometimes what you have to do is put in a /important or something like that. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I'm hitting the right spot or the right div. Here we go. So at this point, my background color, I want to make this to be something else at this level here. So this is a different class. So I'll do header. I do not like the fact that that's not, oh, it's going to be a problem. I know it's going to be a problem. All right, we'll see, whatever. So header, we're going to change our background color to something else. So in this case, I don't want to use my I kind of want to use my variable because then that makes things a little bit easier. Yeah, so secondary secondary header. I'm just going to make a new variable there. And that is getting it from the main.css. And so essentially it inherits that from it. Background header. All right, cool. That should be it there. And then when I go to my main CSS, I'm going to define a new one. So here, so this is really cool about variables, right? And then you'll see how I deal with this in JavaScript too, because now I can actually, Professor Black Ops. That's who it was. Professor Black Ops was in the chat last night, man. He's joined the stream as well. Security guy. And you know, he's trying to protect me and my bottom line to make sure that I don't run over somebody's foot and chop it off or something like that. So I appreciate you, bro, a lot. That was fun last night, man. But yeah, Professor Black Ops works in the security operations or SecOps sector. So you know, I think he works, I think government or federal or something like that. So yeah, he definitely works in a space where they need security. So his input was definitely valuable to me when we were talking about it. So hopefully he can help me on this project at some point as well. He did what's it called, volunteer. So I'm definitely not going to look that gift horse in the mouth. I want to get my face bitten off. All right, so with so CSS variables, which is really cool. So you can actually define a variable and then reuse that variable. And what I do is on my resume page, what I would do is every time you load the page, it would change the colors, right? So every time you load that page, it will change the colors. In this project, I don't want that. It's a little bit too flashy. I got your back. Love seeing young lions putting in work. Hell yeah. Hey man, listen, I'm trying my best, man. Trying my best. Trying to take people under my wing who people, you know, listen, I'm trying to just trying to lead the formation as best as possible, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. So with the resume page, ooh, I noticed something last time. What was that? That was weird. So let's do this, make it bigger. So you'll see the dot, it went from purple to orange. And what's nice is every time you refresh this, purple, and then it stays at purple, right? And then it also changes the picture. So you randomize these little things because it's really nice. It's kind of cute, if you will. But how do you do that in CSS on a regular basis? And the way you do that is the CSS variables. Professor Black Ops. I work in federal space doing IRS security. IRS Pub 1075 is IRS compliance. I worked 10 years at the DOD. Yeah, he was talking about that. The DOD, that's what it was. That's where I was getting the confusion. But yeah, man, and that's like important because that's you get into what they call PII, I believe, personal identifiable information, I think it is, and making sure that, you know, that information doesn't fall in the wrong hands. And I kind of work on that too in terms of like the day job I work and NDAs, not just the NDAs, but then of course being security minded in the terms of way you handle information and stuff like that, and the way you actually transfer data from one spot to the next, and what you have to do to maintain compliance. So that's very important. Atonement, salute to you on Grizzly with the Vegeta. Is that Majin Vegeta or Vegeta? Is that regular? Yeah, it was like Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. But like, yo, bro, I love Vegeta. I love Majin Vegeta. He's like the most evilest one. Or like, I think it was like Fusion Majin Vegeta or something like that. It was some crazy stuff. Like the power scaling in that anime got kind of crazy after a while. And then of course the GT stuff, which is non-canon, which I didn't discover until I was like in my 30s. But yeah. So yeah, Tommy, I appreciate you joining. But with this, you know, every time you refresh, still purple, does it on random. Now it's orange. There's like other colors, green. So that was a nice thing. And the way I did that was CSS variables. And then with the CSS variables, then I did things like with the CSS variables. Then I was able to manipulate that via JavaScript, and I'll show you that in a second. In this case, I only have one color. I don't think I'll change it though, to be honest. I don't think I'll have like multiple colors like I did the last time, but I'll keep the stuff there. So I'm going to add another variable. So you'd have, excuse me, at the top of your CSS file, wherever you want to put this, excuse me, you have :root, and then it's like a JSON object at that point. And or you have your open brackets, I should say. It's not like a JSON object, but you have your open brackets, and then you define your variable name. So that's your key, and then your value, which is kind of like JSON objects, but it's not like a JSON object because at the end of it, it has a semicolon, right? So it's not a true JSON object, for instance. I don't want to mess that up or mess that idea up in people's heads. And then in this case, because I want to use, at first I just had hex values or hex color values, but I want to use transparency or alpha. So I have to use RGB and A. So RGB A, and then that allows me to have that transparency. But I don't want any transparency on my smaller screen. So I'm going to make a new variable here and header. And then I'll just take out, I want the color, but I'll just take out the RGBA portion of it. And it'll just be RGB, but then this allows me to add an alpha if I ever needed to later on. All right, so main.css. Now I'm going to go to the JavaScript side of it. And it should be tsscuts.js. And it's at the bottom, I believe. So here is where my color array, this is where I can put my array of colors. So in the resume page, which you guys, if you go up in the chat, you'll have the video on that. And then it also has the repo for the resume page. Actually, let's just make sure here. That's hilarious. That's just freaking hilarious. Here, reset. Repositories. All right, and this is a repository for the resume page. If you guys ever want to get into that, you guys can always look at it. That's funny. Okay. Give me a sec. Let me handle something I just noticed. Huh. Where is that coming from? What? Oh, that's great. That's wild. Why the hell is that doing that? The mysteries of the world. Background color, secondary, and all right, cool. We're gonna edit the JavaScript here. In this case, I could have it as. This makes it easier. Makes it easier to copy and paste, but it does make it easier to edit. So by having it on one line, that is. And that's another thing, like, that brings up something called like code standards. So you can actually code based off of the Google code standard, Twitter code standard, and any other like large projects. They actually have code standards. And this was a part of me doing my own standardization for my own project, where I actually have a code standard where I say, okay, hey, listen, my functions will look like this. I always have a return object, so on and so forth. And one of the things that you would do is, or with Twitter and Google, it'll define how you actually define functions, variable names, how you call certain things, so that you can move between one project to the next and actually have that standard in terms of if you move from one team to the next, the standard is the same because everybody's on the same page in terms of how they define functions, write function names, and even initiate variables and stuff like that. And then, if it's TypeScript, JavaScript, so on and so forth. All right, so in this case, I am going to, and I'll show you the function too, secondary header, RGBA. Yeah. Let's see if I can actually do this. So random page color, I have a function in here. Yeah, there we go. So random page color, selected object, and then CA, and then math floor random. So essentially, I'm cycling through the actual array or picking a random number in the array based off of the length, I believe, of the actual color array. Yeah, based off of that. And then it's just document element set attribute and then style. So with this, if I want to actually change anything on the style, I can go ahead and do it here. And in this case, you'll see like TSS color primary -1 -2, and then secondary. This is where I hard code this stuff in. I'm sure there's ways you can make this a little bit more variable if you're using like string interpolation and things like that. But not doing all that. So it looks like I forgot something here. Oh, that. Or maybe I don't need it. TSS color, secondary, and then we'll do header. And then secondary header. Okay. And this is how all this is done down here. So I have where it's defined in my root, but then this is where it gets overwritten based off of my JavaScript. Excellent. There we go. You guys can see that. Hopefully you can see that. I mean, I know my streams are crap when it comes to that stuff. Okay, secondary header. I'm just checking over this here again. All right, let's see how this works. All right, where's the last one? We'll do this last thing here, and I will stop for the day. Oh, that's why it's doing that. In the wrong browser. That's why. Okay, cool. Let's make the change. Let's see what happens. No JavaScript errors in the console pertaining to this. I do have, no API key. So if you want to develop with Google API or Google Maps, you can use it. It just won't, it'll give you an error and then say for development purposes only until you get your own API key. So that's nice. And then this type of stuff is just image replacement. There's this really cool thing you can do. Like if an image doesn't show up, you can replace it with text. That's like the on error, which is really cool. So I'll show you that in a second. All right, cool. So yeah, there we go. Our TSS color header is in place. And let's see what our value is for our header. Boom. So that's good. All right. And then let's see how it actually looks. It didn't fucking do it. Okay. So we'll have to, what didn't I do right? Secondary header. Oh, wait. Okay. I copied and paste the alpha as well. There we go. Struggle to wheel. All right, cool. How's it look now? There we go. Cool. So that looks a lot better. And let's see. Did it do this right? It should be at 45. Let's see if our media queries work. Header. Secondary. Okay, so that's our media query in play here. So that's cool. That worked. But remember I was saying like, hey, listen, I don't think this is going to work. Let's see what it does for our fast controls container. Yeah, see, there should be a media query for this as well, but it's not doing it. I don't know what it is. Fast controls container. All right, let's go back to that and go to our TSS cut CSS. What is the problem? Maybe I didn't. You see how this pixels here is in white? But that's like the importance of like, text highlighting. Oh, this is a very important question. Do you schedule your breaks into your coding time? I have to force myself to step away. I do as well. My schedule is when I get frustrated, I take a nap. But during the day, like if I'm actually working, like doing my job, yeah, I'll get up. Also, one thing that's an advantage is my view. So this is my sunroom, and that's my lake. That's my personal lake. I own that. And then this is my view here when I'm looking forward, right? So I have the coding screen, then I have like everything else over here. But this is how everything looks to me, right? So with that, my breaks aren't like physically getting up and, unless I have to go to the bathroom or something like that. It's like looking to the right and then viewing the lake or turning around, viewing traffic or whatever that's coming by the house and things like that. So I don't schedule it, but sometimes I'll get up like in a little after the stream, I'm gonna go and walk, and I usually take for my property. I have like probably about a half-mile trail, and I do that 4 times, and I get my 2 miles in, and that's like my little exercise as well as I have like weights and stuff which I need to get back on. And I exercise doing all that other stuff. So in terms of my breaks, yes and no, I schedule it, but I try to be mindful and get up and take breaks. I do talk about that. I have talked about that a lot in past streams as well. So it's definitely something like around the 3 o'clock hour. I don't code much in here anymore. I don't work much in here anymore. I mainly work at my other desk now because winter's not cold, but I wouldn't mind having the floor heater on right now. I have like a little, under the desk heater. I don't have heated floors. I'm not that fancy. Anyways, but yeah, so yeah, it's important to go ahead and take those breaks, and I definitely do. So why isn't this working? So it's not. No, it is. Top 45. Yeah, why isn't this working? Top 45. Okay, we already have that at 45%, so there's no need for that. Is it spacing? What did I do wrong here? It's not respecting my media query. It respected the header one, but not this fast controls one. And if spacing was a problem, this would be a problem too. And it'd be like small stuff like this that gets on my nerves. Oh, shoot. Sorry. It'll be small things like this that get on my nerve, man, or gets on my nerves when it comes to coding. It'll be like, okay, why isn't this media query working or something like that? Do I have 2 where I should only have 1? If I go up to this main menu here, and then I look at that actual CSS file, I mean, what about this? It is like an issue. Do I have to do header first? You know, like I think I got everything. Header is good, but my custom rule is not. So like, see, header now has that problem. So is it something my text highlighted? It's like it's trying to tell me something, but I don't know what it is. Also, 1 minute. Maybe it's not even a problem. Let me see. Maybe I just don't know. No, it's a problem. So I should see something here. I should see the padding change. Oh, container div. I need it on container. Oh, okay. So it's not it's not the div sub. It's not items within the container. I need it on the container itself. Or yeah, so that should fix that. That'll do that. All right, cool. So look for this here. Should show up as element. Cool. So it has everything that we need there. That's good. And let's see how it actually looks. Hey, there we go. So that's the color's good. And then color's good. And then the padding is 40 pixels from the top. Sorry, 40 pixels from the top. And it's sticky. Oh, okay. That was the other thing. We wanted to change it from sticky to initial. Cool. All right, cool. So position initial. And let's add that. Position. Can y'all decode the things they hide in plain sight? I don't know if that's like a joke or not. MGTOW balance. Can y'all decode the things they hide in plain sight? I know sometimes problems with code hides in plain sight. But no, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Explain if you can, bro. And welcome to the channel. I appreciate you showing up and to a stream, man. I'm about to end this one here in a little bit, though. So padding, spelling mistakes hide in plain sight. That's for damn sure. And that causes all types of damn problems. So we'll do initial. We can do initial unset would work as well. That's what we find from our developer tools. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's saying. MGTOW balance. It's always good to see a fellow MGTOW brother in the space, though, or joining the stream as well. So I appreciate you. Oh, crap. This I'm going to eat. I'm not sure if I'm going to, like, cook. I kind of want to cook oxtails, but I still have a whole pot of chicken feet left. And yes, I eat chicken feet. I'm Jamaican. Chicken foot soup is, I love it. Chicken foot. My dad used to make like the best chicken foot soup, or does make the best chicken foot soup. I freaking love it. I didn't make soup or anything like that, but I made something like, you know, real saucy and everything like that. So I love chicken foot soup. Here we go. So cool. That stays in place. So what we can also do is at this size with since we're using a media query, we can increase that to like 80. Oh, Jamaican. Yeah, man. We tripe, we cow tongue, cow cod. If you know, it's a bit of an aphrodisiac a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Gets the blood pumping. Tripe, cow cod. What else do we eat, man? Cow beef tongue, if anything. I've had that in a soup. What else, man? Kidney, liver, all that stuff, man. Like that's what I grew up on. So now I cooked my first pot of chicken foot the other day. It actually turned out pretty decent. I love chicken foot. I don't like going through all the bones and trying to process that in your mouth, but like the meaty, it's not meaty. It's kind of like because you're eating tendons and stuff like that. But it's like it's fatty but meaty at the same time. So I don't know. That's me personally. That's what I like. That's what I like. Don't judge me. And if you do judge me, be favorable. So yeah, we could probably increase this to 540. I mean, I do like the sticky though. Sticky was such a good like way of doing this, man. Sticky was real nice. Sticky was real nice. Look at that. Sticky was real nice. The only thing is like, it goes too far. So, so something like this, if we're on the phone, we have the, we have that. We have the way it looks here, and then we go down to our fast controls. And also what I'll do is, because job map, because we have this this here, excuse me, I might add actual fast controls to the top of this, right? So when you click on this, I might add it to where you have, and you can't see my cursor, but it's over here, to like right here and down here, I might have a start and stop for the lawnmower. I might have that, yeah. Okay, yeah, I might have that. All right, cool. So we'll add 80, we'll make it 80, and we'll keep it at initial. And this is nice because this is conditional, right? This is conditional based on the screen size. So now when I do refresh to make sure the changes are there and the sun is getting in my freaking eye, changes are there. Everything is good. I can move all this stuff around. Yes, the map looks dark, and that's mainly because this isn't I don't have an API key in place. And I got to figure out the best way to like put that API key in place too. I gotta think about that. But go here, and then you can move up and down. I do like the fact that that is stationary, so you can quickly like scroll up with your finger. And it's like, okay, you can make apps, but like I like making websites that are responsive to where I can go on any phone, any browser, what have you, and then connect to it and go from there. You might have issues with parsing CSS and also running certain JavaScript. So I have to make sure that this JavaScript runs on a phone or a tablet device, because in some cases, the JavaScript engine that are on those devices are older. You may not get older. There might be some functionality, like for instance, like some event listeners that you actually have may not work properly. So that's another thing. I've had it to where, like, for instance, I would actually do an active check on a text box to check if your input is an actual number, right? So if you put in a phone number and then you try and put in a dash, it'll actually erase it for you. But on a phone though, that won't work. Like you'll go to the next field and it won't update it. So that is somewhat annoying. And then I would also limit the characters and things like that. So yeah, those are things that you have to deal with when you're dealing with, like, mobile and then desktop platforms. Excuse me while I move back a little bit. This is another reason why I don't work in here as much during this. I could probably put like a little curtain that blocks that, but I also like all my windows and I don't want to cover up anything. But yeah, so working with mobile devices, dealing with all that, and then thinking about little things like putting this engine start and stop button, putting it here on the left-hand side once I press the menu. So press the menu, show all of this, maybe even press the menu and then I can see this as well, because this changes you from all the different, windows that you have. I don't know. I might put this button in here. So I'll work on that. Guys, thank you for showing up to the stream. I appreciate you. MGTOW balance. I don't know if they, I don't know what the question was. So I apologize for not being able to answer that, but I appreciate you showing up. Appreciate those that are showing up. Professor Black Ops showing up. Atonement. I appreciate you, man. Yogi Fish, definitely appreciate you, and the Cash App you sent last stream. I appreciate you greatly for that. Taboo Smash, I appreciate you for asking questions and allowing me to engage with you guys, man. Any way I can help, let me know. And that's pretty much it. Who else? Nobody else actually was in the chat. So all the people that are catching this live and the people that are catching this on playback, I appreciate you greatly. And I really do mean that. I really do. This type of stuff is great because then I can actually not just interact with other people, but it actually helps me and holds me a little bit accountable and makes me work on the projects that I talk about on a regular basis. I left a note today. Oh, man. Appreciate that, bro. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for the $10 Cash App, man. I really do appreciate that. Like that's really cool of you. You know, and it's great to like show the support, man. Show support to other channels like the Black Brain Trust as well. All of you, you know, in terms of likes, subscribership, viewership, of course, on their videos and things like that. Like, you know, it's great to show support for the people, you know, that are possibly enriching and entertaining you and enriching you and helping you progress in your life, which is a part of enriching. But I wanted to put a third thing in there. Okay, so that's a BS comment. So let's block that user. But yeah, I really do appreciate you guys. You know, just I don't do this for the money, but I really do appreciate the money. And I'm probably going to use that to buy some more chicken feed or some oxtails. So I don't want to discount or downplay the appreciation I have for the money, but I do appreciate you guys. Refreshing to see. Refreshing to see the young mind at work. Yeah, man. You know, and it's really cool because a lot of the stuff you do when you start talking to people becomes thought provoking, right? Because it actually helps them work through some issues as well, and then discover things, and then of course the discovery of things together. You know, Dank Tuku, the stream I had with him a couple weeks back, where we went over the 12-factor app, that was great because it was like, okay, now you're seeing it from a guy who is a manager of a DevOps team, you know, and he has to deal with, you know, moving assets and data from one spot to the next. I won't go into it because of, you know, protecting his privacy and his employer's privacy and things like that. But, you know, it's really cool to see that and see a person, that type of mind in this space talking with you. And it's empowering because you simply see that, wow, this person knows a lot, is in the job that I want, but doesn't know everything and doesn't probably get it all, you know? And it's really impressive when you see that on a regular basis, man. And that's kind of like what you're able to see in this space, the Black Manosphere, the Manosphere as a whole, as well. And it's really cool to see that because it's like, wow, you know, the stars aren't so far. It's as close as the moon, and that's not even that far. You know, it's like it's as close as this can of Hot Shot ant and roach killing spray. So it's like these are people that you can actually talk to and get advice and information from. All right, with that being said, I am shy of 2 hours, but I appreciate you guys greatly. And thank you guys for always challenging me and everything else like that. Yogi Fish, again, thank you for, I'll do like the lead attorney. You are the sponsor for this stream. And, you know, so I appreciate you, man. Your $10 Cash App, man. That really means a lot to me. And stuff like that, man. You know, cryptocurrencies, maybe buy some more oxtails, what have you. But thank you guys. All right. With that being said, hey, listen, you know, don't take everything I say take what I say with a grain of salt. If you're not taking what I say with a grain of salt, you're low on sodium. Go ahead and, you know, check some of the stuff I say out, research, and then correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section. I challenge you to challenge me and my knowledge and make me better. Also, take a chance every day to progress your life. I mean, one of my daily truths is that you have to admit that you're getting everything that you want out of life. So if you don't like what your current results in life are, you should be okay with it because you're getting everything you want out of life, meaning do more to get better. All right. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys later. Peace out, man.